Welcome into Coffee and Chel for December 29th. We are almost at the new year for 2026, so I hope everyone had a great holidays. I'm still battling being sick again because what else is new? So I hope everyone else with kiddos and whatnot survived going to like multiple family dinners and avoided getting sick. I, unfortunately, my new reality is that I'm only able to be sick. That being said, let's start off with Hockey Ultimate Team. Got a lot to talk about today in Hut. First, I want to go over my realization and the new difference in terms of no money spent and God squads. All right. And there had been a comment in one of my prior coffee and shells that I had diminished the massive difference in people with elite teams versus not elite teams. And so I've been paying a lot more attention to that because of that comment. So I was playing, if you guys have been watching my theme team videos, you'll see in the last few episodes that I've been kind of struggling a little bit. And, I try to keep myself level-headed when I know that I'm using a far inferior team. The goals where that you give up or that you don't score that really those are magnified when you were using a lesser team, right? So watching my play with Askarov and net is something to be studied, for example. But I think the reason why I had diminished the massive team difference and that my true feelings is that the best player will usually win regardless of team to an extent. All right. I'm not saying you can use silver cards or whatever and beat someone with a top end team. Not saying that. But if you were around the same skill level, there is a pretty big difference in teams. And I think I figured out, or at least I've come to the realization of what that is now in NHL 26. And that's abilities. So abilities have always been important since they've been included in NHL 22. Abilities have always been important. The difference in NHL 26 is when they revamped them, they made the top end abilities exceptional. And so for the entire year, quick release has been the best ability. There's really no way to argue that. Unstoppable is another fantastic one. Showstopper on a goaltender is great. Truculence, though, you know what I mean? Like the usual suspects, okay? However, now they're broken up into 3 tiers. And the final tier, the orange tier, is just far and away exceptional. It doesn't, I don't want to say it's game breaking because I don't think that it's breaking the game. I think that it's doing what is intended. And that's an argument that's an entirely different argument because I think there's a lot of people out there that don't like abilities because it just takes away from the realism of what we watch on TV as opposed to a video game. And there's always going to be people that debate, whether they like the more arcadey stuff because I think a lot of people remember the nostalgia of like NHL hits being super fun. Right. And I think that what the dev team now over the last few years is trying to do is bring back some of that less seriousness. I think when it comes to gameplay, if I were to try and guess if they were to market what they're doing, because it's not realism, right? When it comes to abilities, it's not realism. It's you won't. No one in the NHL is able to smoke someone, with unstoppable the way that you can in game, right? There's no one that can flick up and wrist a shot in unscreened from the point because they've got an ability that allows their stick and the puck to move 10 times faster, right? So you're just not really going to see that in real life. So there's always going to be that debate. So when it comes to no money spent versus the players that spend a lot of money and play the game a lot, all right, there's a combo there because people that just spend money doesn't mean that they're going to have the best team ever. If you play a ton and spend money, that's where you're going to see it, right? And so my time playing my theme team, what I've come to notice is, and even the real thing was when I started playing my no money spent or my no money spent like God Squad, right? In Hut Champs, which has fallen quite behind because I went away for a week on vacation, and then I'm having to spend all of my resources trying to get Sharks cards because the dev team is just, it's hard to be like, man, they're not watching my content or whatever and just giving Sharks for the sake of giving Sharks. I'm with you guys. I think that there's been maybe 3 or 4 extra Shark cards throughout the year. I don't want to say I think that's far too big of an ego take, but it wouldn't surprise me if someone in marketing is like, hey, a lot of people watch this individual and he likes the Sharks and he's building a team. Why don't we put more cards in, right? And which is awful. I don't like that, by the way. But what it's actually done is it made it very hard for me to actually build my Sharks team, because even with all of the better Shark cards, my team's still nowhere close to anyone else that's great. If you were to give a Sharks team versus a who hasn't gotten love? I mean, the Leafs. They've gotten some MSPs, but I think Austin Matthews' best card is still an 85 from the face-off event, right? Let's get a better example off the top of my head. Winnipeg. God, when was the last time Winnipeg got a lot of love? If you were to try to build a theme team with the Winnipeg Jets, I bet it would be pretty rough. So let's say that. Let's say it's Winnipeg and the Sharks, and you were building a current theme team like how I'm building mine. Would be a massive advantage for me. Right? But with a theme team going up against just players that have really good teams, it's still not very close. And what I mean to say by this, when I'm playing, when I was doing Hut Champs with my good team that is now starting to fall a little bit behind, which will be getting a big catch up with the ODR season this week, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But I'm noticing that it's not the attributes of the cards. If you take away abilities, there really is not that huge of a difference. How many times have you seen top-end cards that you have that have great abilities or great attributes like skating, and they're getting outskated by slower players, right? I notice it far less. It's usually early on in the year when you get like a card that costs $1,000 and you're going up against someone who just started playing the game and you've got like a 95 Mario Lemieux. You can see, or McDavid. McDavid's a perfect example. You get Connor McDavid at launch. Connor McDavid's base card at launch feels different. Right? Like it feels like you're playing a different game. I don't find that as much. And that is what I was stuck on when I was saying that I think team difference doesn't give that much of a difference in terms of performance. And I still stand by that with attributes. Abilities, however, I don't know how many times that I've played recently where I'm going up against, Bergeron, for example. And I'm talking just inside the blue line. It's just a wrist shot upstairs. And anyone with elite quick release, I played that Brett Hull, right? It's from anywhere on the ice. That's the problem, right? And you're not trying to defend how you normally would play. People, I think the player base now is going away from, again, let me know in the comments if you agree with this or if you see this. I think abilities have become so much more overvalued than attributes, right? That you're not seeing a meta in which the same goals are being scored from the same spots. So like goal line shots that you would see in prior games, like the ones that you're always looking for. The low far side, I guess, would be kind of a meta goal, or the meta goal, one of them, or DDD one timers in NHL 25, right? I think you're seeing less of these same goals. However, you're seeing more of ability driven goals that are executed because of the abilities. Like quick release is fun. I've talked about this a lot. I love quick release because it allows me to play lefties on the left, righties on the right. It does. Like without it on my theme team, this is where I'm noticing it. So before I started doing my Sharks theme team, I was playing lefties on the left, righties on the right on my main team. Okay, I've got Sakic's icon. I've got Bedard's beast mode card. I've got guys with elite quick release, and I can pick the corner upstairs off the rush like you see in real life. With my team, I really can't do that. Even with blue quick release, like I just don't have the ability to score the goals I'm trying to score, and I think it's because goals are now being scored due to abilities more than they ever have. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that like it's something that we need to just pay attention to, right? And it's a change in gameplay. And maybe I'm overthinking it. I'm just giving you my opinions and what I'm seeing myself, right? Like this isn't like this is what's happening. It's just what I'm experiencing quite a bit. And same thing with like Unstoppable. Like it's impossible to go near anyone. And my cards, the reason why, like, another example of abilities being so much more important, my team still has Lindros as my number one center. Okay. I don't want, or Bedard's a better one. I went and got Bedard's Spotlight card. Far better card than the Beast Mode Bedard from skating, everything, right? I'm not replacing my Beast Mode Bedard because of Elite Quick Release. That's how good it is. I've used both, and I was like, nah, man, my Bedard, it might be almost impossible to get time and space because he's so slow in comparison to the player base. But man, did that card rip upstairs all the time. And it's a goal that I find fun, right? Like, obviously getting scored on when you just get flicked up when you're defending the rush from 5 feet inside the blue line is frustrating. But I'll take that as a trade-off, I guess, right? Because I still get to score the way that I want to when you're watching real hockey, right? So that's just where I'm at. I wanted to touch on abilities a little bit. It's a long-winded rant, but I do think that attributes mean less than they ever have. In all honesty, guys, the rework of abilities was necessary if they were going to keep abilities in the game, and I still stand by that abilities need to be in HUT because players don't play in their individual styles. I know the game is marketed to have Draisaitl play like Draisaitl, and he'll go around and score more from the goal line. I don't notice any of that. I don't know if you guys do. Let me know. But abilities need to be in the game because if you take away abilities, attributes feel exactly the same. They really do. It's very hard. We'll go back to, for anyone that argues that, we'll go back to NHL 20 and 21 early on early on in this generation, where it is just whoever's biggest and whoever's fastest. And then that's it. Nothing else matters, right? So that's why I think abilities do matter in that sense, right? If until they give us custom shots and custom strides and things like that, abilities have to be in the game, or we're literally just playing blank card simulator with a random name on the back. And maybe that would be a more enjoyable experience. I don't know. Let's talk about the card value guide. So it was my most requested video since I had put it up. I put up one about a month ago, and it was me going over, here is what to do with all of the overalls of your cards. Because this new structure of HUTs has gone away from collectibles, really. And what it is it's like full Madden. I haven't played, I want to be honest. There's a comment here, actually. Do I want to get to it? I'll get to it after this. But my experience playing Madden over the last few years, I would usually do it for about a month. I would get to MVP in ranked because I'd buy like the Madden school guides and whatnot, learn the best plays, play a bunch of MUT, get some decent cards, and then I would get to MVP, which is actually fairly easy in comparison to some other games. But the what I wanted to get at was the structure of how MUT has worked is you have an overall, you trade in multiple lower overalls for a higher overall. And that's the cycle the whole way through. In HUT, there's a little bit of that, but there's a lot of collection in terms of collectibles. You would earn event collectibles, you would earn gold collectibles, you would earn power-up collectibles, like whatever it was. That's how you made the cards for the most part, or you would make the cards and then you would upgrade them with that. And then you slowly started to see that trade in a bunch of 80 overalls for an 82, and now that is it. That is the one-by-one structure of how they want you to. If you were to sit down in EA Sports HUT Dev, how would they tell you guys how to play the game as intended? That's what those videos were for. Okay, the card value guide, because I know that's what they're intending you to do. It's just not explained in game. They're just like, here, go figure it out yourself. And for anyone that is not someone who grinds the game or has hours to figure it out, you're not going to go look. So that's why I made that video. And it was, like I said, my most requested video. So what I did is I went through, and it took me 2 hours. Real talk, it took me 2 hours to figure out the market value, because the market has crashed. And we'll touch on that in a little bit as well. But the market is in a very rough spot in terms of cards being actually worth anything. So it's hard to be like, this card, you want to turn 80 overalls into this set, or 81s into this set, because 81s don't really have any value, right? So, and that things are going to change because, once they release one random new set that comes out that requires 81 overalls, then everything changes, right? But it gives you a baseline. So what I did was I went through and I was like, okay, how much are these cards selling for in the auction house? And then I added it up, and that was like, this is what this set costs, okay? And even if you had cards that were untradeable, they still have a value tied to them. Just because you can't sell them for coins, they're still worth X amount of coins because you would have had to buy them from the auction house, right? Like, that's very long-winded, and it makes more sense in the video. But so it took me 2 hours with 300 people in my chat trying to figure out the optimized way to use all of your cards. And everyone has asked for more rewards, as you should. I think early on, the first month, I think Cup Chase, before it got nerfed, Cup Chase was actually worth it. I think, remember when you got an 82 plus card for winning Superstar? And at the early beginning of the game, an 82 overall was like in MSP sets. Like you got like you were getting it, you could make MSPs if you grinded Cup Chase. It was actually, and then I was pulling like 83s. I pulled both of my Connor McDavid's, base Connor McDavid in the first 2 weeks of the game in Cup Chase. I actually thought it was incredible. I was like, wow, this is actually great. And then they nerfed it. They took away the plus option in that pack, so it wasn't 82 plus, it was just 82. And then they made it 83 for this next one. What has happened now? Everyone has asked for more rewards. And I've told you guys that you can't just blanket give out more rewards without a drastic change in the value of what you own. So, why I cautioned just getting thrown rewards left and right. Yes, that'd be great from a consumer standpoint, right? But the way that you enjoy the game, there's got to be some challenge to it. And I'm not explaining it correctly, but this is what's happening. Go and try and buy a 90 overall MSP Sorokin. 50,000 coins. I saw him up for 42,000 coins. A 90 overall MSP. I don't care if it's a goalie. I don't care if it's Darren Pang. 90 overall MSP for 44,000 coins. That is the downfall of when you get an excessive amount of cards added into the player base. So if we got flooded with, not even flooded with rewards, if we went back to the old reward structure of getting dumped on by packs on Wednesday, with the current structure of the market, all of the cards that you pulled are now worth nothing. So, great. You can buy an MSP for 40,000 coins. Alternate argument. What if you finally get rewards as a no money spent player? Those very few rewards that you get. And you pulled a 90 overall MSP. You just made 40,000 coins. Do you see the downfall? There's a give and take. I'm not saying that we don't need more rewards. We need excessive amounts of more rewards. There needs to be some things adjusted. The problem is that the market crash is not due to excessive amount of rewards. It is due to an excessive amount of people buying packs. As expected, it's the holidays. You get gift cards. Again, we don't pocket watch here. EA's inconsistency in packs provided in the store is a major issue in this game. I've said this since the start of the year. It is not how much money you spent. It is when you spent your money. You could have spent $200 this year. Okay, $200, which is far less than a large majority of people that play this game, which is crazy. $200. If you did $100 after the fantasy packs are broken, you probably got a fantasy pull. If you did $100 with the limited ultimate choice pack player thing that was on last Friday, you probably pulled a bunch of 89 overall cards. And then you became pretty rich. Even just the fantasy event. Like if you just, you know what I'm saying? Like the issue therein lies that there is so many different packs. And what happens is when they do these random pack drops, whether it's with coins or money, no one can take part that doesn't spend money, right? Because it's like, all right, sell some things and buy the packs with coins. None of your stuff that has any value or that you can sell is worth anything anymore. So for example, if I sold all of my tradable cards right now, it'd be the bottomed out amount I could get. Okay? Bottomed out amount I could get, and then I could maybe buy Brett Hull. The fact that you could buy 91 overall icons for 250,000 coins, but you go and look and do the math, how much it costs to actually do alumni, it's 700 to 1 million coins to build them. Like, what do you guys think happens in 2 weeks when those packs are hopefully out of the store? Like, it's just going to go back. All right. So now no one can buy icons because they're going to cost an excessive amount of coins, right? No money spent players still have to try and build them, which is almost damn near impossible to go down the whole path of building an icon at 91 overall. It's just almost impossible because we don't get enough stuff, right? And it's just, if you spent money during the right time, you're rich. The rich got richer and the poor got poorer, right? Which hilariously, this whole market this year is just like a one-to-one example of what's happening in North America. But I want to make it clear, I'm not complaining as someone who's not able to take part, right? I actually am having to fight the fact of spending money. And the reason why I want to highlight this again is because the only thing that's keeping me on the rails is that I have an entire content structure based on not spending money, right? I don't want to spend money. I don't think it's worth it. And I don't want people that are addicted to gotcha games to blow all of their money that most of the time they don't have on a game that's going to reset in a year. which is why I'm trying to show you guys how to have some fun and build good teams without spending any money. And I'm not saying that you can't build a good team without spending money. It's very easy to build a good team right now, no money spent. You can't build a great team. You can't build the cards you want. You have to build a very specific team with the stuff they give you. Major difference, but it is easy in that sense. But it is frustrating because as a content creator, I want to blow money and make a super team because I want to experience what it's like playing with a great team. I feel like I'm always behind the 8 ball and I'm playing more than everyone else, right? Or a lot of you guys. And I feel bad because that's just the route we're going. And I don't know how to combat that to keep you guys playing the game. Like I want you guys to keep playing HUT, obviously, just like I want to play. We're all addicted to it. I want us to have fun while doing it. I think theme teams is really the only way. I honestly do. And the major issue is that I know that if I played ranked with my good team, even though it's not upgraded and I don't have a lot of great cards anymore, right? I would fly into diamond, borderline touch elite, right? Because of the win streak rewards and those changes. With my theme, but I know that. And then my theme team, I'm like struggling getting into platinum. That's on my own doing because I'm not playing very well with my team as well over the last few games. You'll see in a couple of videos though. And if you want to watch it live, Monday through Wednesday, I do play with my theme team. So if you want to catch it live, it's on my Twitch channel. I'll be streaming it right after this video. I know it's because I play the game to beat other people. That's where my true enjoyment is. Doing it with a theme team is awesome, but in the back of my mind, it's like, man, I don't like losing to these people. You know, like that. I know that I can beat. You know what I mean? So I think it might be better when I don't know. Like I go into next season and I'm not touched ranked at all, and maybe then I don't know where I could get to. So then it like gives me a little bit, it's like the unknown, right? I don't know. This is just me spouting things off, but it is tough for players that are competitive to use a far worse team. It is tougher. I didn't say it was easy, right? But it is more fun. I'm still enjoying it a ton. And I think that's really the way to go with the current structure of Hockey Ultimate Team, right? Like HUT, what they have done is they seem to push the community to the ultimate edge of where things cost too much. And then they see that, randomly release a pack. And then that pack makes the people that spend money have exceptional great teams. And then line combos reset. And then they push everyone to, and we haven't figured it out and to a T, but again, this is just me venting and we'll see how it plays out. Okay. The outdoor season I want to get to here. This is the Beast Mode event. So remember back to season 1. I did Market Monday all through season 1 as intended. I just wanted to do the first season so that I knew what to expect or had some guidelines to go back on, not just in future games, but this game as well. The next event will be the final event of season 2. Okay. We know what to expect. 99 line combos, the Land of DuPonts, that's coming. Okay. The Beast Mode event had so many good options, and there was still just long enough to justify making a lot of cards because you could use them for quite some time, right? And I'm getting that feeling all over again. I've saved up my collection because the first month of the season, there was no great line combo to chase after. I had no interest in making a ton of new line combo cards. I would make 1 or 2 MSPs from every event, just like you should. But I wasn't chasing any line combos because I didn't want to blow my collection. I knew that there would be better stuff. And now I've gotten to the point where my team feels far behind because now I'm seeing, the Adam Fantilli line or the new Sebastian Aho with Crosby and Giroux line or all the icons now like Brett Hull and Howard Schuck. I'm starting to see that more. And I'm struggling to just keep up with my, 87 overall Lindros, who's still an unbelievable card, by the way, or Beast Mode McKinnon, who's still on my team, right? So now what's happened is there's a lot of cards I'm interested in. I got JVR's Columbus Blue Jacket card on my No Money Spent team. I'm going to make McDavid like everyone should. And then I'm going to make Ovechkin, who I wouldn't have made. But I'm going to make Ovechkin to complete that line because I want to try it out. I think it'll be fun. I got Cam Fowler's card from the holiday pack. I'm going to make Parayko to go with him. I also just love Colton Parayko. I think Mount Rushmore, his fantasy card is a Mount Rushmore HUT card of all time for me. So I think that, and I low-key have a soft spot for the Blues. I like the Blues a little bit. Shout out Daddy Padre. And Robert Thomas. But that being said, I'm also considering like Yossi and Seabrook, or like the D pairs, Yossi specifically. I talked about this in my rankings video, guys. when the line combos reset, the cards that stay, great abilities or great skating. That's what has always been essentially, right? Yossi had 92 speed and excel with some, you know what I mean? Like, and good defensive awareness and whatnot. Like, he's actually a phenomenal card. I put him in the S tier in my rankings because when the line combos reset, he's going to be one of the best defensemen. Remember, line combos only have a +1 or 2. And judging by how the salary cap is going, if we don't see 60 million added to the cap, which we won't, you're going to have to force feed everyone to just make salary cap combos again, right? That's a whole other situation. So, there's a lot of good cards and good line combos, and I'm getting that feeling again. But you know what? They got me again, and I'm going to do it again. And I know next Friday, when the new event comes out, 99 line combos, insane cards, and I'm going to say the exact same thing I did when the Beast Mode event came out. Man, I wish I didn't dump everything into it. But I'm a sucker, and they got me. All right? Let me be an example of what not to do. You know, just as much as I show you guys what to do, I want to show you guys what not to do. And I bet you any money, I'm going to have a great team for 5 days. And once those 5 days are over, when the new event comes out, I'm going to be like, because I have like 400 cards in my collection. Like I said, guys, all the rewards that you get if you do the XP path, which I just finished, you get a bunch of stuff, but it's never all at once. But if you just don't buy into making multiple MSPs, like spending your stuff, you just make what the game gives you, you get quite a bit. And there will be an event where you can just push all your chips in. And a lot of you are going to say Team of the Year. Let's get to Team of the Year. Team of the Year over the last few years has become one of my least favorite events. Let me explain why. I think that it's awesome for the video game and awesome for NHL in itself because anytime that you bridge the real game and the video game, I think it's great. So my fantasy is the best event. It just is. Like, there's no way to argue it. When it doesn't cost you a limb, right? However, Team of the Year is a great time because it markets a game. It gets new players excited. The cards always have crazy abilities. They used to get free synergies, like stuff like that. However, the last few years, with the almost dedicated to not upgrading them, and it's like they punish the people that save everything for Team of the Year. So everyone asked me, when do you start saving for Team of the Year? 2 years ago, I just stopped. Straight up just stopped saving for Team of the Year because it was figured out. It was save everything right when the game launches for fantasy, dump everything for fantasy. From fantasy all the way to Team of the Year, you don't use your cards for anything. You save all your rewards. And it was just so boring to me because that means for like 4 months of the game, we're playing for 2 events, and it was just so boring to me. But the problem is that Team of the Year cards, they would get an upgrade every month. At least, sometimes twice. It was crazy. They would automatically hit 99. They had the greatest abilities, the best attributes. They were just so good, right? Last 3 years, guys, a lot of them don't even hit 99. They go out of their way to not upgrade them. Go and look on Reddit how many posts there will be every content day of like, LOL, Nathan McKinnon hasn't got an upgrade since November. Like, you'll see that. And the problem is that you've invested 1 million coins in value because they will cost the same to make as fantasy cards because you're paying for the 99 overall up front. That's what you are. We've done the math on it. The cost of these sets is going to be so expensive, just like fantasy. I think it's going to be close to what the fantasy event was because you are paying for the assumed 99 up front. You're assuming, which is crazy because you're assuming risk that they're even going to hit 99. Now, I think with the line combos, you've got an interesting thing here because EA this year going all in on trying to just get everyone to spend money. Okay. And I don't even mean make things expensive. I mean that they are dangling that carrot with some crazy packs at different times. Remember, I talked about how, like last Friday, that limited pack where you were pulling 90s left, right, and center, which tanked the market, or the Boxing Day packs, for example. Like, they know what they're doing. They're releasing good packs, which in 24 or 25, that was the big thing. Content was rough, and they didn't even give you packs that were worth opening. That was what was crazy to me. I remember there was a number of videos where I was like, you're not even releasing packs that entice people to spend money. Like, what are you doing? Now that's all they're doing. So I would anticipate, here's my predictions, okay, of the cards, not the players' names that are selected. I will do that as well, but the cards themselves. I am willing to bet that we haven't seen free abilities yet. And I don't think they want to do free ability events. I think they want to save free abilities for the cards that are going to cost $400 to make. So I think Team of the Year and Team of the Season are going to have free ability cards. And free ability cards don't have the same weight as they did because now we can have 70 ability points because of line combos. So that isn't going to move the needle. However, what I think is going to happen is you're going to get free abilities and free salary. And if they put free salary on those Team of the Year cards, that makes these things like just, given how the salary cap has been, right? Like imagine you've got McKinnon and McDavid Team of the Year cards and they don't cost a cent to your salary cap. You don't have to, that means you don't have to force feed a salary cap line combo really. You can just put your best cards in. Like that's huge. And that's what I anticipate them doing, making them overpowered in that sense. I think they're going to have gold quick release, all of them probably, or a gold orange quick release. But we'll see. I do anticipate that it comes the same time as last year. They pushed it back last year, which was the right thing to do. Something that people don't really know that goes on in the background that I've learned from like the players that win them is it's a marketing event. So what they'll do is they'll send out like the gold skates. That was like the thing. They would send the gold skates to the players. They would do social media posts from the teams of the players that win them, so on and so forth. That takes like months. Like that legitimately does because you have to talk to their agents, the PA, like can pay them to do the social media posts, like all of that stuff, right? There's a lot of logistics that goes in behind it. It's not just say, hey, you won, can you post something? Like they're professional athletes. Most of them don't care at all about video games. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that goes on behind it. On top of that, they have to commission the artwork. So card art happens weeks and sometimes months in advance. That's why you see those updates every once in a while, guys, where it's like, we've added in 2 new jerseys and it's like a patch, right? Like and you're like, what is in this patch? Like, what's the point of this? It's because they're just back end putting in the new card art. That's really what it is. Because I think it was NHL 23 where they accidentally, this is when cards upgraded. So you would get the base MSP at like 84 overall, and then you have to pay for the upgrade. They back end put like 4 events in, but didn't take them out of the player pack pool. And then they left them at the base overall. And everyone pulled every MSP that like the base overall before the event came out. I don't know if everyone remembers that, but it basically ruined the back end of NHL. I think it was 23. It might have been 22. I think it was 23. Actually, no. Maybe it was even earlier than that. I don't even know if I was in my new place yet. It might have been 20. Someone will know. A hut knower will know. Anyways, so they have to do that card art in advance. The problem is that Team of the Year is supposed to be January 1st to December 31st of that calendar year. Team of the Year would then happen the first week of January. So the people that would win, it's like, hey, man, like when, was it Miro Heiskanen won? He had a good season, but from like November on, he didn't score. And he didn't come anywhere close to the most points for a defenseman. And it was like, okay. Or no, Matthew Tkachuk winning. That was one, right? It was like, this makes no sense. He had a brutal start to the year. It's like, he's got 40 less points than Kucherov or whoever else. Again, I'm making up a name. And it was like, this isn't working. Them delaying it allows them to actually pick the right players, I think. I think you get a better sense. So that being said, I think it'll happen at the end of January, just like last year. Let's go over my predictions of who's going to win. McKinnon is going to win. He has the most points in the NHL over that time span. We're basically at the end of the year, so unless someone pops off with 10 more, I don't see it. McKinnon's going to win. McDavid's going to win. When you include playoffs and things like that, he's like third in points. I don't think Kucherov gets one. And the reason why, I think, is just that they would rather have McKinnon and McDavid, more marketable. Kucherov is got to be the most underrated superstar of all time, or maybe not of all time. He is... God, what's a better example? What's a comp for Kucherov? He's just always forgotten. He literally is like second in scoring every year. And everyone just goes, McKinnon, McDavid, Draisaitl better. It's like, but what about Kucherov? He was also hurt this year, but still, he has among the most points in the NHL over that time span. I think that he gets knocked out as the third forward because I think Morgan Geekie, who has the most goals over that time span, gets one. And I would love it. I would actually love that. He has a couple more goals than Robertson. Robertson has way more points. Kucherov has like 50 more points than him, but he's the most. I actually would like it if it isn't just the same players over and over again. I would. I think that Morgan Geekie if you score the most goals in the league, I don't care how many points you had. You potted the most goals. That is the most important stat there is in a hockey game. Whoever has the most goals, right, is the most valuable to an extent. But you know what I mean, right? So I'm going to say Geekie gets it. which I would love. On defense, pretty simple. If it's not Makar and Werenski, I really don't understand it. There really isn't an argument for anyone else other than Makar and Werenski. And then in net, it was surprising. Is Vasilevsky. Most wins, best save percentage among starters. I was surprised because he's had rough starts to the year, and I think last year, because again, remember, it's the back half of last year and the beginning part of this year. It's not all of last year. And I think he had a really rough start, if memory serves, so that might be why. Okay, on to some NHL talk. So we're back from the holidays, and the Buffalo Sabres rock. The Leafs still stink. Well, they're in a rough spot. I'm gonna give some bold predictions. Okay, I just went through the standings, and we'll come back to this. All right, someone will prediction check me and say that I'm really wrong. These are bold, meant to be bold. Okay, bold prediction: Buffalo makes the playoffs. I think that they do this every year. They'll go on a crazy winning streak. Usually, it happens at the beginning of the year, and then they fall out and just miss the playoffs. I actually think that they just will. I think that they got the bounce from firing the GM. And I think that they will make the playoffs, and I cannot wait to go to a game in Buffalo in the playoffs because win or lose, it will be electric. That city, the fan base of that team, I, honest to God, can't think of a fan base that does. The Leafs fans are going to argue me on that, which I guess is kind of in it. But that is the most hardworking, like, brutal living condition city. Like, and they love their teams, and Buffalo hasn't been to the playoffs in 14 years. So, Leafs fans, I get that you haven't won a cup in a billion years, but Buffalo hasn't seen the playoffs since I was in college. Oh my God. Panthers win the Atlantic. Panthers had a brutal start. Matthew Tkachuk skating again. I don't know. I just got this weird feeling. Looking at the Atlantic, I don't trust Detroit. I think they're finally a playoff team. Thank God. I've talked with them. They're just so boring. Like, I always mention, be good or be bad. Pick one. And they just have always been we're decent, but not good enough. And I hate the middle teams. Shout out Calgary Flames. But I don't think Detroit has it to win the Atlantic. And I feel like Tampa, God, I really like Tampa too, but I think Florida will just go on this run. They are a vibe team. And vibes mean more in hockey than any other sport. Chemistry matters more than any other sport or more in hockey than it does any other sport. And the Panthers have the exact same team essentially that won multiple cups. I just think that they will run the second half of the season and win the Atlantic. Which means an Atlantic team has to come out. I think Montreal falls out. I think they've had a pretty rough month. I said this going into this year. Last year, they played way above their talent level, okay? It basically was everything had to go perfect. You had to have Lane Hudson have the best rookie season for a defenseman ever. You'd have multiple things. Montembeault was Canada's future starter, which now not the case. But I said when they had such a good offseason. I'm praising the Montreal Canadiens. They had such a good offseason. It made me feel like they were now where they ended up last year. That's where their team is like, it would make sense this year. Do you see what I'm saying? Like they filled, if they overachieved last year, just achieving what they should would be right around where they finished last year, which was just sneaking into the playoffs. I think Montreal will fall out. I don't know. Toronto. I've seen enough, man. Toronto has an all-time crash out. I've watched almost every game of the Leafs, man, and it is painful to watch this team. It is just bad hockey. Toronto has an all-time crash out, misses the playoffs, ends up with the 8th overall pick, which then belongs to the Boston Bruins in one of the worst trades ever with your biggest rival. I feel like this could be worse than... No, it won't be worse than Tuukka Rask and Raycroft, but it'll be up there. And for the love of God, just stop trading with Boston. Like, never do it. Fraser Minton actually looks like a decent NHL center. Like, I think the Leafs could really use him. Like, Carlo, he's been hurt. But before he was hurt, awful. Like, just straight up terrible. And if the Leafs don't make the playoffs, this is the problem. If the Leafs decide, if they don't get it together and get real close to the playoffs right now by the deadline, they have to sell everyone so that they're bad enough that they get below the top 5 pick. I think it's the 6th pick. Or maybe it's top 5 protected. Yes. They got to get into the bottom 5. They cannot lose that first round pick. It is top 5 protected, which means that they've really got to fall. The problem is the Leafs team has a bunch of talent. You have Nylander, you have Austin Matthews, the shell of Austin Matthews, even Matthew Nyes, like great players. Like they're too good to be in that mushy, like, you know what I mean? Like that awful spot. That is going to be one of, like, man, Boston fans are going to eat Toronto alive. Colorado breaks the Bruins points record. I think it's 132 or 133. I think that Colorado this season is just, god damn, like they are good. You know what I mean? Like they look like a super team as long as everyone stays healthy. Final prediction: Utah makes the playoffs. The Sharks fall out. They get like the 10th pick. I'm super happy to see that Macklin Celebrini is a blue chip franchise. I don't want to say Hall of Fame because that's putting the cart before the horse, but if you were to say Macklin Celebrini will make the Hall of Fame, barring injury, I don't think that's a hot take. Like, I don't think that would be a hot take. Is it going to be, like, obviously so many things going to happen in between then? He's a teenager and is 57 points, third in scoring in 38 games on one of the worst defensive teams ever in the history of the NHL. Like, I can't stress this enough. I know I'm a homer. But, like, watching this kid, I've watched hockey for my entire life. When you see players that have the puck and you can tell it's them without seeing the name, the announcer, or the number on the back, I think that's a good indicator of, like, man, you got something special here. And I saw a bold take on Sportsnet. Someone else did a bold takes article, and I want to make it clear, bold take articles are meant to be bold takes, so it's not like they think it's going to happen. It was like Toronto crashes out, they lose the pick to Boston. They have a conversation with Austin Matthews where it's all chips on the table, and a trade happens with Austin Matthews to the San Jose Sharks in a deal centered around Michael Misa coming back. And I was like, dude, sign me up, my brother. Like, I get that it's the shell of Austin Matthews. He's never going to score 69 in a season again. But yeah, I'll take that any day. Obviously, it wouldn't just be Misa, but like I saw that and I was like, that brought a smile to my face. Lastly, before we get into the comments, some gaming news. You guys, I've been talking about AI and the RAM issue that's going on in the world right now. Again, just I'll touch on it briefly just so that it makes this point so people that didn't watch my old episodes don't know. Essentially, what's happened is that every country is in like an arms race to develop the first like super powered AI. It's a lot like the space race back when our parents were kids. And governments are investing billions and trillions of dollars into AI data centers, and it's requiring RAM at a level that's wiping out consumer RAM. So if you haven't looked, let's say you got a PC a couple years ago, go and look at the price of individual RAM sticks right now. They're 400% more than they were a year and a half ago, and that's because it's not just like the crypto craze when consumers drove that a lot, where everyone was buying up graphics cards and things like that for crypto. Eventually that fades when the government is involved of countries, the big countries. That's when consumers can't really do anything. So all these data centers are being built. RAM is at a price that's just absolutely absurd. It's not just PCs. RAM is in everything. Okay, RAM is in all consoles, which is what I'm going to get to here. So next gen consoles, there was an article on GameSpot about next gen consoles being delayed, which I haven't even really thought about, because who in the comments feels like there is no different, that you don't experience a tangible difference between PS4 and PS5? Xbox is different because the Xbox One was a disaster of a console from a UI standpoint, just a performance standpoint. Like I haven't used Xbox since, like, I have a One and a Series X. I've used them both, and I was streaming on both. I couldn't use the Xbox One because it just felt slow. Like, it was just like the menus were, it's like the HUT menus to a much lesser degree. When the Series X came out, if it performed the way that the Xbox One would, I actually think Xbox would actually have survived the console wars and not just been absolutely demolished by Sony. But that being said, who actually sees a tangible difference in them other than just like it's new? Like graphics have hit a point where on consoles you really just can't tell much of a difference. Like back in the day when gaming was at its highest, like when it was new and exciting and not figured out, we would get a new video game every year and a new console. Remember going from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2? Or like Xbox, well, Xbox One was Xbox was PlayStation 2. But okay, so Xbox to 360, like those were insane leaps in graphical performance and just overall what the games could have in them. I just don't see it anymore. So like I haven't even thought about the next gen consoles because I don't care and it'll just piss me off because I'll have to spend $1,000 on a console that the PS5 has been awful for me. Like the amount of problems I've had, the controller issue, I've talked about that a ton. The controllers were literally so busted at the manufacturing when the console was launched that Sony had to sue the company that made them. And the only controller that holds up is the Edge controller, which costs half the price of a console. I had an Ethernet cord issue where I had to use a gold-plated Ethernet cord, and if I don't, my Ethernet port would go in and out. Imagine trying to stream when your console's going in and out of the internet, right? It was just a mess. I hated it. I did not like it at all. I much prefer PC, and that was I've never been a PC gamer, but now I prefer that. So I haven't really thought about the next gen consoles at all. But GameSpot was reporting about that Sony and Microsoft for their next gen consoles are thinking about an already bigger issue where the RAM crisis that's happening. So essentially, over the last 2 months, two of the biggest RAM manufacturers for consumer, Corsair's one of the, or starts with an M. I'm sorry, I don't remember the names. Two of the biggest consumer RAM companies that produce consumers, so we're consumers, we are individuals, right? They are now leaving the consumer market and just going straight into developing for governments and corporations. What happens then is that consumers can't buy RAM, right? Or the price is now quadrupled because there's just no supply. Now, they were targeting a 2027 launch for the new consoles, but the RAM shortage looks like it's going to go well beyond 2026. So there was a report from Sony CEO saying that usually when consoles cost more, the consumer sees it. So, a PlayStation, I think it was PlayStation 4 that actually went up or maybe it was, I don't remember. There was a console, maybe it was PS5. They actually cost more now than they did at launch. So what happens is when stuff would cost more to make, consoles prices would just go up. That's why, and people would say it's inflation, which technically it is. It's inflation of all the guts of a console. It's now costing more, right? However, the bigger issue is with RAM being so expensive. Remember, Sony sold millions of consoles, right? So now you're buying millions of RAM to put in these consoles, right? No, this holiday season, 2025's holiday season, saw the lowest game sales in 30 years during the holiday season run. People just aren't buying video games because they cost too much. There's no ingenuity because I say no ingenuity. I know I went in a long argument with someone before about how there isn't any good games. There are good games like Expedition 33. That's like the main one. That's Arc Raiders. Like there are good games, but there isn't an excessive amount of great games that are pushing the limits of the console, and you're seeing imagination and innovation in games. You're just not seeing it anymore. You're seeing the same stuff, or just regurgitated, especially in sports and FPS games. But gaming sales just hit a 30-year low. So if Sony and Xbox and Microsoft go to release a new console, and now it's costing $1,000, which is what it will probably cost because of the cost of RAM, no one's just going to buy them. And I don't mean no one. A lot of people will. They'll still make unbelievable amounts of money. But the hobby gamer is just not. Because, when I'm done streaming, I am a hobby gamer. I literally just go and sit in my chair and I play old games. I started playing Mass Effect again because it's a great video game and there isn't really anything new that I feel like playing, right? And you're going to see a lot of people just hold on to PS5s if they have them. There's no reason to upgrade. And I think what'll end up happening is that people might spend $1,000. If the difference between is $1,000 for a console or $1,000 for a base super entry level PC that can just play a game but not play it well, I think you'll see that more. Honest to God, would you rather spend $1,500 on a PC that can at least run any game you're playing and give you the freedom of it being a PC, or spend $1,000 on a console? Right? Like it's just not. I think that's what you're going to see more and more of. And I just thought that was interesting because, yeah, it looks like we might get that, like the next generation of consoles delayed because of this RAM crisis. And that's unfortunate. So let's get into the last video's questions and comments. 1 second. We'll start first with Mr. Graham. Today, sleeves. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Can you share tips on pokes and pass intercepts? My opponents seem to know how to do it with every pass I do, while I can't do anything. Opponents even intercept the puck without looking. Thanks. Man. So in NHL 26, poke checking has been the worst it has been. Intercepts are fine. Intercepts, here's how it works, guys. Fine. When you are defending a play, what a lot of people will do is they will focus on the player's body. So you have a defender, okay? And you've put that defender in the middle of a passing lane. Okay, let's say you've got, here's the two passes, okay? You've got the puck carrier, here's the passer, you're right here. You don't want to be right here. You want to be right here. Your stick needs to be in the lane. If your stick is anywhere near a passing lane, it will usually intercept the puck, unless it's right along through the crease. It appears that EA just loves to do this like excitement factor where they're like, hey, no intercept animations are going to happen in this area. So be aware of that. Also, take a look. If you just started playing the game, look at your defensive awareness. If your defensive awareness is below 90 overall, that stat determines how likely or how good your players are at intercepting passes. So if you have very low defensive awareness, Paul Coffey, for example, has really bad defensive awareness. So if you're using Paul Coffey, who's still one of the best defenseman cards in the game, you're probably not going to intercept passes like you would with someone like Colton Parayko's MSP, right? Same thing with poke checking. God, it's still a mess. It's still a disaster, but the poke checking stat does matter. Same with abilities. This is what I was talking about. Abilities matter more than the attributes. Even 99 poke checking, if you have someone that has elite stick 'em up, that will actually knock the puck free. I noticed it with Pronger when I was using Icon Pronger. I could actually poke check with him. But yeah, when it comes to intercepting passes, don't make your player's body in the way of intercepting the pass. It's your stick, right? Same thing when you're defending a rush. If you're backing up, okay, you actually don't want to do that. If you're back checking all the way into your goalie, at some point you want to turn around, because if you're backing up, your player's stick isn't behind, you're hoping that it hits your skates. You need to turn around, which is all, or dive by holding L1, R1. Make sure that your stick handling as well. If you're getting poke checked a lot, when you're entering the zone, don't go straight into the zone. Make them go left and right. So in the neutral zone, go all the way diagonal. Obviously avoiding other players and whatnot, but you need to go all the way diagonal, because if someone is defending you, just like in real life, and they're looking straight at you, it's very easy for them to poke check because you can't protect the puck at all. The puck is the first thing in front of you, right? So that's another way. Make them go diagonal on your zone entries. And the last thing, make sure you're using the right stick to stick handle. So when you're making cuts left and right and someone's poke checking you a lot, use the stick to the right to go to the backhand to protect the puck away from whoever's poke checking you. DCA, this is the comment that I wanted to bring up when I was talking about Madden Ultimate Team. It says, hey bro, love your content. Appreciate you putting bookmarks in the longer videos so I can skip through some of the stuff I'm not super interested in easily. I just wanted to give some feedback as someone who plays every Ultimate Team style mode. I mean everyone. Mutt, Butt, Cut, Hut, DD. That sounds so funny. Diamond Dynasty, 2K is my team. AFL, NRL, and Quicket Pro. First of all, unbelievable time management. I even occasionally play some NBA Live 19 Ultimate Team still. That's a gamer. Okay. I think you should try not to speak about how other versions of Ultimate Team work. A lot of the time you speak inaccurately and are misinformed using out-of-date information. 100% hand up. I don't play Madden Ultimate Team. I don't play College Ultimate Team. I grind Diamond Dynasty, so anytime I talk about MLB, it is from an educated standpoint. But I appreciate your comment. Let me know the specific stuff I'm not getting right. Okay? I have no idea what this is in reference to, right? So I can't stop the inaccurate speak from my experience of playing any of the other games if you don't tell me what it is, right? So I don't hate or are upset with you about these comments. Again, guys, a constructive criticism is the only way to grow. So if you are going to criticize anything about my videos or me myself, just let me know what it is in specificity, okay? Dallas says, if you are constantly assigning blame to the game for the reason why you lose, you will not get better. Love this take. There are reactive and proactive people. Reactive people blame the weather for their bad day. Proactive people look inward to what they could have done to make their day better. The same goes for the game. Look at what you did or didn't do in the game to improve. That will lead to lasting results. 1000%, not just in the video game. That is a W take on life. I 100% agree. So the issue is that there are times in the sports video game, in the NHL video game, where there are things that are slightly out of your control, or the end. When I talk, when people ask, how do you really get better? The first thing I say is you watch your game back. And no one wants to do that. Like, very few people. Like, unless you are trying to become one of the best players ever, you're not going to watch your game back. You're playing a video game to enjoy it. A lot of people think that if I just play more, I'm going to get better. Yes, to an extent. It's a lot like, I use this analogy all the time. If you were to golf and you go to the driving range and you have a awful swing and you take 100 swings every day of your awful swing, you will figure out how to make your awful swing somewhat optimized, but it will still be an awful swing because you're not learning new mechanics. Same thing goes with video games. You need to watch your game back. So one of the best things to do, okay, just watching it isn't going to help you. You need to know what to watch for. When you give up a goal, don't harp in on when the puck crosses the line and the actions that led to that. Go all the way back to where possession of the puck started. And if everyone did that in NHL, you would become infinitely better than you are. Because a lot of the time, when you're watching the theme team games, it's raw, uncut gameplay, but I try and talk about what I'm thinking in the moment. Things that I have a crutch on is that I play with the puck at the point too much. I like at the point controlling it and then either going for a one-timer or a screenshot from the point or getting it to the middle player and then going for a backhand. Like, there's plays that I look for at the point. However, I know that I do it too much and it leads to a stick check, or I run out of room, lose the puck, and then it's a 2-on-1 or whatever. And even if it's a forced cross crease where I'm in the way, everyone harps on, how does that pass get through? The pass doesn't get through if I don't lose it at the point. You'll hear me in my Sharks theme team games where I'm playing with it at the point, I need to get it down low, right? Because the reason why behind the net has always been so good is because even if you lose the puck behind the net, they got to go the full length of the ice, right? So those are things like, when there are times where there is nothing that you could have done. A perfect example is losing a faceoff when you do the counter. That stuff drives me up the wall because I take being good at faceoffs with a lot of pride. It also is one of my few advantages that I have over people. I'm getting worse every year as I get older. That's just going to happen in video games, by the way, guys. So when I lose a draw against someone on 2-ping, I'm not going to point out the player base, and it leads directly to a tie-up goal that is almost an automatic goal. If you are playing someone good, if you get tied up in your defensive zone, it's almost a walk-in goal. I do it all the time to people. When that happens, that's frustrating. That is like, I did the right thing. I didn't get the result because of stuff that is out of my control. That's frustrating. Same thing goes, like, there are times, though, I'm not saying that when a cross crease goes to the middle, you shouldn't be upset because of what happened up in the play. If you are defending it and you're doing it well, I think poke checking is the big one. Because if you are in position and you make a good poke check, you separate the puck from the puck carrier, but they can just get it back so easily because it isn't working as intended. That's frustrating. But I'm with you on this. If you are someone that is in gold and below, and this is where it's going to happen a lot, I don't blame you. You don't want to lose. No one sits down at the end of a day and goes, you know what, man? I want to accept blame for a loss in a video game. Nobody wants to do that. The amount of times that I'm just an absolute dick to someone in my stream or whatever because I lost and I'm just being a baby, a lot of the time, okay? I have pretty good patience and I'm pretty good with it, but there's times where, I'm a sassy cat because, someone just beat the brakes off me, right? I'm not going to be in a good mood. However, if every single game you lose, you are feeling like it is not your fault, okay? Yes, there are going to be things that work against you. Ping is one. Team advantage is another. I promise you, if you watch your game back, you can, if you're on PlayStation, hit this button and then save the previous 30 minutes or 15 minutes, and you can watch it right on your console. And every goal you give up, this is what you just watch for, nothing else. Every goal you give up, Rewind all the way to where you lost possession of the puck. It could be the face-off in the neutral zone and someone just comes right down and scores on a breakaway skates through everyone. Then you know that you need to get better at face-offs. You see what I'm saying, guys? That's the best way to improve. And if you are blaming the game every single loss, it's simply not the case. There are going to be games where you are just beat because someone is better than you, and it's a tough pill to swallow. I struggle with it too, man. I get it. Bergeron or Sundin, they're both around 260K. Both? The best answer is Sundin because 91s will eventually go into a higher overall of icons. Bergeron is one of the best cards in the game right now. I personally would rather have Bergeron because Bergeron's quick release and quick draw combination and the fact that he's a great skater, line combo, all of that, I'll take quick draw over every single ability in the game right now. If I can get yellow or orange quick draw, I'll put an 85 overall card on my team right now. That's how devastating it is. Sundin is an awesome card, but forewarning, guys, I don't mean to break the market. This is going to explode. I would bet a lot of money, unless EA keeps pumping out insane packs in the store, which might be the case. They're trying to milk everyone. If EA stops releasing these juiced packs, the first thing that you're going to see explode in price is the 90 and 91 overall icons. They are going for such a small amount that it makes me sick that I can't buy one because I can't sell enough to get enough coins. Again, no money spent players getting absolutely shafted here. But icons, the high-end icons, God, Season 2 is coming in 2 weeks, guys. You know what that means? 93 overall icons. You know what's going to be required to make 93 overall icons? 91 or 90 overall icons. What happens to those cards? 500K. And this isn't me breaking the market. This is just common sense and what I've learned from doing Market Monday. That was an hour, guys. All right. Another hour-long coffee and Chel. I hope it was a good episode. Let me know if you guys ever have a topic that you want me to go over, whether it's NHL or just anything related. I would love that as well. Again, hour-long episodes can be tough for me to figure out. I sit down and I come up with some topics, but sometimes it's me rambling, and I don't want that to be the case. So if you ever have any other topics you want to listen to, just let me know. All right, guys, have a safe one. I'll see you next time.